Welcome to the video series of Chess with the Chess course. I am back with one more lesson in the series. We shall now have a look at back rank combinations. Back rank checkmate is one of the easiest for a beginner to judge because the lethal check is given on the rank by a rook or a queen, and basically since the castle king has no escape squares, the checkmate is delivered. Let us understand this from a very basic example. In the position before you, you can see white has just moved his queen to g5, offering his queen for free, no protection whatsoever. But black is not in a position to capture the queen, for this will allow white to deliver checkmate from rook f8. So for example, in this position here, say after queen into g5, white can mate into rook f8 check, queen to d8, and rook captures d8 check. Let us just quickly go back to the start position, that with queen g5, white is also threatening mate from d8 square. So like black is not in a position to avoid check and mate from both these points, and he can only save checkmate by giving up his queen. Let me now take you to a position from the game between Adams and Torre, which is considered as the combination of the 20th century. This game, played in 1920 at New Orleans between players Adam and Torre, goes down as one of the most brilliant combination, and luckily this is a part of the back rank series, one of the best to understand back rank. So let us first start with material. We see that both sides have got queen each and two rooks for white, two rooks for black, a minor piece for white and black each, and pawns both have got 6. So material is even on the board. Black has just played his bishop to f6 and is threatening queen. Now let us see this position from the point of view of back rank. We see this double rooks on e file attacking the e8 square twice, and this has been defended by black twice. We see queen and rook on c8 as the defender. So what do we find? Two attackers and two defenders. The simple rule of calculation says that if the number of attackers and number of defenders are same, so here in this case 2 attackers for white and number of defenders for black 2. So 2 minus 2, answer is 0. So material cannot be 1 on that square. If at all material has to be 1, then number of attacker, the answer should be plus 1 on that square. So for example, if number of attackers are 2 and defender is reduced by 1, then you get answer plus 1, and again subject to calculation of relative value, material can be 1 on that square. So this forms the basis of combination. If one of the defender either in the form of queen on d7 or rook on c8 is diverted, then white will be able to deliver back rank mate, and this becomes the motif of combination with a successive queen raids to divert the black queen from the guard of e8 square. White started this combination with queen g4. Fantastic, simple but effective. And now you can see that it is not possible for black to capture the queen. For example, just let us see what if he plays queen into g4, then white delivers mate with rook captures e8, rook captures e8, and rook captures e8. So now black has to take a decision. What if he moves away his rook on e8 from the heat? Well, if he plays rook e to d8, okay, he has averted back rank for now. But with a simple exchange, queen captures d7, rook into d7, rook e8 is mate in 2. So again, this is also ruled out. Similar is, like rook c d8. This is also ruled out, as like previous continuation variation, white will just start with queen into d7 and mate can only be averted at the loss of, heavy material. So that's why to this move, queen g4, black decides to move his queen to c4. Now this is really a very good move. Imagine if black is on the move. We know now it's white's turns to play. But imagine if black is on the move, then he is threatening checkmate. For example, look at this position. He is hitting this rook on e2. So he can start this combination with queen captures e2. White will be required to play rook into e2. There follows rook c1 check. Then white can defend this with knight e1, and there follows knight into e1, and then rook into e1, and then rook into e1 check and mate. So now white has to decide how he can avert of this threat. He has to take a quick decision. Any safe move will allow black to regroup, and that is where comes queen c4. Fantastic move. Now again it's offering queen, second successive offer of the queen. At the same time it wards off the threat which like black was hoping with queen into e2. So now again we see this queen cannot be touched. Queen into c4 or rook into c4, the x falls on e8 square. So the black queen has to rush back to the defense. He moves his queen to b7. Let us in this position also calculate what if he plays rook into e2. Well, in that case here white will not go for the queen. He will simply go with queen into c8 check, queen to e8, queen to e8, rook captures e8, and finally rook captures e8 check and mate. So this is also not possible here. And what about this move rook into c4? Well, again then white mates into starting with rook captures e8. So as can be seen here, black needs to rush back to the defense, moves back his queen to d7, and now he's hoping that moves would be repeated with queen g4, and again he can play to queen c4. But white has seen deep, and that is why this combination is dubbed as one of the best ever played in a period of 100 years, the best combination of the 20th century. White goes ahead with queen c7. Third successive offer of the queen. It started with queen g4, queen c4, and now queen c7. And as can be seen, again the queen is untouchable for threat on on e8, and of course now here white is also threatening to capture the queen of black. So no alternative. Here now black decides once again to play queen to b5. But if we compare queen to b5 now with the earlier position, then in earlier position the white queen was on g4. So there was this real threat of black of playing queen into e2 followed by rook c1 to take advantage of back rank weakness of white. But now the difference here is that the white queen is on c7. So there is no possibility for black rook to invade from c1. So that's why white now continues with his idea of offering his queen free, now plays a4. Fantastic move. Idea is to rob black of all the squares on the a4 e8 diagonal. He doesn't have d7, he doesn't have c6, he now only has b5, and now since a4 is attacking b5, he has to take a decision. Of course a4 pawn is not protected, so here black is required to accept this. Now comes, white continues with this idea. Rook e4. Fantastic. Again attacks the queen. And now you can see the alternative that it is not possible for black in this situation to play rook into e4, as white will start with queen into e8 followed by mate. Also, it is like not good for white to for black to play queen into e4. So here in this position, black decides to move back to b5, and now the culmination of this wonderful combination. Can you judge the winning move? Well, it is queen captures b7, and now we can see that black queen has no flight square or no way of defending the e8 square. He cannot go to a4, c6 and d7. He finally tried queen into b7 and then mate followed with rook captures e8, rook captures e8 and rook captures e8. So I hope you have enjoyed this combination, a great start to our chapter on back rank. We move ahead and now see something of a repeating pattern in this sequence. So this position from a 1925 game between Rauner and Camichaud is similar to Adams and Torre. Adams and Torre was played in 1920. This is 5 years later, but a world apart. This is, like at Russia, and that was in America. So same idea, only difference is, the file. Adams Torre, all the action was on E file. Now here all the action on D file. So this problem is rather easy for white. Same idea, if white queen is not guarding the d8 square, back rank mate is there to come. So with this idea, white played queen a7. It's very important to select the right square. Just let us go back, and what if white had tried queen c5? Well, in that case this does not work. Here black will simply play queen into c5, and now when you are going for rook into d8 check, rook into d8, rook into d8, the queen can come back and defend the back rank mate. So after rook into f8 check, which is force for white, king into f8, and you can see the difference that both have equal pawns, and then this should mostly end in a draw. So white needs to select the correct candidate move, and it is queen a7. Fantastic. Now, as can be seen, the queen cannot be captured. So queen into a7 allows mate into, starting with rook into d8 check. So also it is not possible for black to guard the queen. So if he tries anything, or say for example in this position, he can try any of the move, queen a5, which is actually played in the game. He can play queen e8, but in that case it's easy, you can just win the queen. So queen c8 is also not possible. There is only one possible defense, move the queen to a5. And now white continues this idea. He goes on offering the queen. He plays queen into a6. One thing you have to remember, that basically in this position, don't play queen into b8. It appears that you are eliminating one of the defender, but this simple move, rook into b8, and then black continues to have two guard on d8 square, and white has blundered. He thinks that he has eliminated one of the defender, but it is not so. So beginner can learn from this position. Very important, be very careful, calculate perfectly. So here the winning move in this position, let us just go back, is to play queen into a6. Remember, you don't want the queen to guard the d8 square. So what now for black? Well, he has to go back to the same square, move back to c7. But now the only difference is that there is no pawn on a6. So again now white moves to a7, and this time we see that black has run out of all the squares on the diagonal b6 and a5, and any move he plays will result in loss of material. Even like white is now threatening in this position to play queen into c7, so black resigned. I hope you have liked two similar positions in a wonderful combination, both very familiar pattern in back rank checkmate. We now move ahead, and this game was played between Petrov and Mirkovich with white to play. Black had already started his victory celebration. You can see here that rook of black on d1 with queen on c1 attacking this white's queen on e1, and followed by an X-ray attack on bishop on f1. So it appears that if queen moves out of the attack, rook into f1, and mate is not far away. But we also see that black has back rank weakness. How can white take advantage? And there comes this stunning move, rook to d4. Simply super. Ignoring the threat on queen, and now at the same time threatening rook d8 check and mate, at the same time attacking the rook on d1, threatening to capture. And as can be seen that if at all white plays here in this position rook into d4, he loses the queen. Or if he tries like rook into e1, he is late, white will mate first. One interesting thing about this position here, that for a chess composer, he would be delighted to have a black pawn here on e5 instead of the white pawn. For here, if black plays, he takes d4. Imagine it's a black pawn, not a white pawn. See, chess composer would always think in this way. He would try to find a beauty in a position, and this is what this real game offers. So if this white pawn on e5 were to substituted with a black pawn on e5, then even this capture with the black pawn on e5 of the rook on d4 will allow white to deliver back rank checkmate with queen e8. So this is something different angle of chess, the beauty of chess, the composition. So from two point of view, this problem is really artistic. No problem on back rank is complete without the Bronstein's move. This is a standard work found in almost all the training manuals on back rank. This position arose in the game between Mykonos and Bronstein as black, and now you can see that Bronstein has lot of pressure on the back rank. He is like having attack. Let me show you this. So he is attacking this e1 square twice with his queen and rook. As of now, it appears that this is sufficiently guarded with, like queen can fall back to defense with, in this position with queen f1. But like this rook on b4 is somewhat out of place, and this allowed Bronstein to deal a hammer blow. He played a stunning rook captures a3, and what do we find? All of a sudden, the white's army is in chaos. Let us now examine the continuation and how each of the move leads to the defeat of white. For example, he can start with b captures a3. Well, in that case, black will continue with queen captures a1 check, rook to b1. Okay, nothing to worry. There comes rook e1 check and rook into e1, queen into e1 check, queen f1 followed by queen into f1 check and mate. So what are the other possibilities? Well, he can also, like capture the rook on a3 with his own rook. So rook into a3, but in that case he has left the back rank unguarded. There follows queen e1 check, queen f1 and queen captures f1 check and mate. And like any other possibility, same thing happens. If at all he plays queen into a3, there follows queen e1 check, rook into e1 and rook into e1. I hope you have enjoyed these examples in the back rank I have provided, and let us now move on to solving the ensuing test position. As usual, you will start with part 1, which consists of 6 problems, and then later on you can come back, not immediately, come back to part 2 at a later stage and then to part 3. And if at all, like you are not in a position to understand any of these problems, do see this video again, and then I am confident that you will be able to solve it successfully. With this, I conclude my example on the back rank chapter, and you will be having a look at the solutions in the next part. Till then, bye for now.